I'd like to start off by saying that I don't have a clue why I'm writing this letter. Maybe I want this thing to be known to the world or something. The events described in this letter happened about a month and a half ago in Springdale, Kentucky. Although I started writing this thing about 2 weeks ago. I just haven't really had the guts to finish until what happened at that gas station. Now the story starts in late September, when my family went to go visit our relatives, who invited us up to celebrate one of them getting like $2,000 and some scratch-off lottery thing. They live in this really hillbilly part of Springdale that everyone from the Ritchie areas pretty much just likes to call Hicksville. Now we live in Duncanville. It's way down in a valley, and exactly like how everyone pictures it when they hear about it. Nothing but crappy shacks and rusty-ass rebuilt trailers. The relatives we were visiting are absolutely weird. They all acted as if there was some sort of secret that they had to keep hidden. Which they did, and that would be discovered later. So anyway, we're up there in this godforsaken trailer, and it sucks. There's like 8 relatives, plus me, my dad, my mom, my sis. About 2 hours in, my mom takes my cell phone so that I can focus on family time together, which is total crap, by the way. All we did the whole time was eat TV dinners and be forced to watch NASCAR and shit. After like 6 hours of that, about 10 minutes before we're supposed to leave, it starts raining. Now we know how treacherous the roads can get down the valley, so we decided to wait for the rain to die down. 2 hours later, and it's fucking dark as hell. 10 o'clock, and there's a flood warning for the area. I have my phone back this time. There's no service, of course. I'm playing Tetris and Texas Hold'em and stuff, when suddenly I hear my dad start losing his mind in the next room. I walk over, and it turns out that they let slip that they'd buried this kid, Thomas, outside, and apparently were afraid the rain would wash up his body or some other crap. The kid was like 6, he was attacked by a dog. They never told the cops, just fucking buried him like he was a family pet. My dad's flipping out, rightfully so, because we live in the 21st century and all. So our relatives all say they'll all sort it all out in the morning. My parents tell me and my sister to stay in the same room that night, and we did. None of us really suspected that they'd killed Thomas or anything, since they're really peaceful. They didn't even own any guns, except for this one rusty double-barrel shotgun they had on the mantle. Nevertheless, we were creeped the hell out, and intended to tell the cops in the morning once we got to town. So it was like 3 in the morning. I couldn't sleep. Power had gone out for the 5th time or so, and I'm not able to charge my dead phone. Worst part is, I could see Thomas's little grave right outside the window. Little cross on it and everything. I just assumed the kid couldn't have been buried deep at all since they were so worried about him just washing right up out the grave. So I was just fixated on it. I kept being drawn to look out the window. And then I saw the fucking worst thing in my life. Something was creeping through the trees toward the house. I stared at it for a while, but couldn't get a good look at it since it was raining and the brush was so thick. For a few minutes, I assumed it was 2 really pale horses, kind of ambling through the woods side by side. Then it walked into the moonlight, and I saw that it was all one thing, like some kind of human torso, but wider. It finally stepped into full view, and I saw it had something like 6 legs, kind of somewhere between a beetle's legs and a horse's legs. 2 arms, right where someone would normally have them, but they're about half a foot longer than any normal man's arms. Had a bald head, but the face looked like some sort of fucking bizarre blank kind of mask. This clenched up furrowed forehead and a nose that sort of looked like a raven's beak. Didn't have eyes either, just the sockets where the eyes would go. It looked like it had a human mouth, just, very, very large one. What still strikes me to this day is that it seemed to have a stinger on its back. right between where a normal person would have shoulder blades. The thing moved sort of gracefully and made these soft thumping noises when it moved. It must have been like 7, 8 feet tall maybe. Only sounded like it weighed about 100 pounds at most. It starts walking towards Thomas's grave. And then I finally snap out of whatever trance I was in and scream. My mom is the first to wake up. I tell her to look out the window. She rushes over. Doesn't really seem to understand what she's looking at. After a minute, though, the thing bends down and starts pawing at the grave with its clawed hands. My dad and Jasper, my uncle, rush in. And Jasper fucking loses his shit, screams like a little girl, and runs back out the room, yelling for his father, screaming, "It's outside! It came and it's outside!" I look back and see the thing is digging furiously at the ground, kicking up huge mounds of dirt. I hear the sound of feet running around the house. I think they were looking for the shotgun. The thing reaches into the hole and grabs up what I assume was Thomas's body by the leg in one hand. The thing kind of gallops back into the woods, snapping all these branches and shit. And then that's when we all hear it. A kid crying. The sound of a child sobbing and crying from the direction that the thing took off in. So we left as soon as the rain let up at like 5 a.m. I don't even think we told anyone at the house. Just drove straight back to Duncanville, only stopping for gas. No one said a word to each other. My family refuses to speak about what happened. I tried to bring it up once, just to make sure that it was real. My dad told me to shut the fuck up, so I did. I started writing this about 3 weeks after it happened, but just saved it in a school folder and left it alone. Never mentioned it to any of my friends or anything. Just tried to erase it from my mind. It mostly worked until I went to work. See, I work at this gas station in Duncanville from 8 p.m. to 3 a.m. I work the register, keep the place clean, and take out the trash. When I was bringing the trash bags over to the back of the building for the dude in the morning to take care of, I heard what I had assumed to be some junkie kicking around in the dumpster. I yelled at whoever it was a couple of times to get the hell out before I called the cops. But as I walked towards the source of the noise, I suddenly heard those same footsteps. That soft thump-thump, hooves or feet or whatever the hell they were. I turned right around and went back to the store, hid behind the counter. I look over at the outside security monitor and see some kind of movement just off the screen. Something huge, casting a shadow and moving. I caught a glimpse of, I don't know, an elbow or something, a pale limb, darting in and out of view. It had to have been the same thing. I waited for it to leave, and after a while it did. I woke up behind the counter at 1 a.m. this morning. I was in complete fear for the creature that was pursuing me. But it was gone now, and now I had nothing to fear. At least for the moment. That was when I heard the cry of a child. They were scratching at the back door. I ran back to make sure the door was locked, which it was. Thankfully, the back door had no window on it, so I didn't have to see what was there. I went back to the register and looked at the security cameras. A young boy, around the age of 6, was scratching on the door. His head leaned at a strange angle, and some of his flesh had fallen off. But what was even more disturbing about it was that he seemed to be growing extra limbs, and a strange pointed one that was starting to jut from his back, right between the shoulder blades. I continued to cower behind the register until I fell asleep again. I woke up this morning to my boss flipping out because I was asleep on his floor. He was probably thinking I was a drug addict or something. I took the whole week off to stay at home, waiting for the creature to come back. Every so often it does. I sit and I wait for that creature to finally have me. I have photocopied this letter and mailed it to all the people that I hold dear. You may find me dead one day if you don't find a way to help me first. The power has been out of my house for a while. The phones don't work. I'm going to go outside for the first time in a long time to mail these. Hopefully it isn't waiting. I hear it now, and I may have just heard a window break. Maybe I won't get these out for a while until it's gone. Or maybe not at all, depending on whether or not the shadow looming over me is my imagination.